red light's on.
Okay, that red light's so important, guys.
Yes.
I think a lot of people realize that or appreciate that. I'm with Luen Yang, and God bless you. Thank you so much for meeting with me, because your schedule is full, I know.
Yeah, it's pretty full, Yeah, they did a good job packing my schedule this year.
Well, we could start with just out of the blue question. How do you feel right now with being at Comic-Con and the whole thing?
Well, it feels great. You know, I grew up reading comics. I'm a comic book geek. This is like being among my people.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I think that there's just no need for snarkiness. I mean, everyone's working so hard. And
sure.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great art, a lot of great stories all around.
Yeah.
You know?
I wanted to talk a little bit about your panel with Scott McCloud. I mean, God, a legend in comics.
Yeah, and that was crazy. So yeah, yesterday I had a panel with Scott McCloud where he actually talked about my work. He even put together a slideshow of panels from my book, you know?
Yeah.
And I grew up reading Scott McCloud's stuff. I love Zot. I also read Understanding Comics when I was around 19, and that basically changed my life. I don't think I'd be doing comics now had I not read that book at that time.
Yeah, well, I'm older than you, but at the time I was still kind of wet behind the ears when I read it, and I thought, I probably wasn't thinking this exact thought, but it helped to legitimize things.
Absolutely it did. For me, I think it sort of explicitly separated the medium from the genre. You know, growing up in America, I read mostly superhero comics, and Scott McCloud's book really did that for me. Really said anything, any kind of story can be told through comics.
And not to say anything disparaging about the big two and all the other superhero comic book publishers, they work their ass off.
Yeah.
But there was that intimidating feeling for cartoonists coming up the ranks a generation or two ago, where they just felt, well, if I can't draw Spider-Man or Superman to the impeccable standards that they are drawn at, I'm just going to give up. And a lot of people did give up.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
It's a whole different playing field now.
I agree. Yeah. So back in the day, you know, you had to draw in a specific way in order to feel like you had a future in comics. But now I think the industry and the art form is just much more diverse.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit about the source material for the Shadow Hero. What do you imagine were the standards there, or the working conditions, or the milieu that the original creator was working under?
Well, you know what? I don't know that much about comics in the 1940s. I only know what I picked up from like Cavalier and Clay and a few books that I've read. It doesn't seem like it was all that great. I'm very thankful to be a cartoonist working in today's industry as opposed to back then.
That's fascinating to think about, because they're kind of like an indie comic book publisher, aren't they? I mean, there was a small press, weren't they?
Yeah, I think everything was a small press back then.
But that's true.
I also think that there was a very standard way that contracts were structured, right? Where the creators kind of went in expecting not to own what they were creating. It was almost like a sweatshop mentality.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to talk about the dynamics of the Shadow Hero. Like I was telling you just a little bit earlier, I'm thinking about going from the specific about one culture and the self-consciousness about being in one culture, and then taking that story and making it universal, where everyone was, hey, well, I can certainly relate to that. My mom gets on me about this. Or,
yeah, sure.
And I was thinking about my culture. I'm Mexican-American. I certainly had my mom who led an offbeat path, and I have taken up that offbeat path myself in so many ways.
I did want the Shadow Hero to be about the immigrant experience, and specifically the relationship between the immigrant and the immigrant's child. You know, I'm the child of immigrants, and I think regardless of where your parents come from, there are just these very, there are these commonalities, right? Within that experience. Your parents work their butts off to get over here. They're trying to build you this new life in a culture that they don't feel at home in. They make all these sacrifices. They try to negotiate these two cultures, and it comes out in these weird ways in our lives. And I wanted to really explore that. I think superheroes are a great way of talking about how people find their way in America, because superheroes are so American. You know, they're created here. They are most popular in America, and they express American ideals. I just think that was something that I wanted for the Shadow Hero, is that would come out.
it's just a perfect way for people to hook into the pop culture. Everyone knows Superman,
That's
Batman,
right.
Spider-Man.
That's right. Yeah.
There's so much to ask you. I'm going to lose my train of thought. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the whole idea of all ages comics. I think that is such a wonderful path to go further and further in, because all ages, really, that means all ages. Any age can enjoy that comic.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, part of it is I got to work with Sonny Liu, and I think Sonny Liu's work has very wide appeal, simply because he has a unique style, but he's also able to negotiate comedy with drama, with action in this way that's just very, very appealing, universally appealing.
And you have a panel on the focus being all ages among so many panels.
Yeah.
Hard to keep track of them. But they're all very worthwhile to catch.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
And one last thing, I just recently discovered the Monkey King, which I should know about, but because it's like it's like one of the ultimate, if not the ultimate, fable in Asian American.
Within Chinese culture.
Within Chinese culture.
Yeah, it's a big deal. The Monkey King is very, very big in Chinese culture, and he kind of fits a universal archetype, right? He's like the trickster.
And also, well, in Chinese American, he doesn't enjoy who he is. He can't deal with who he is.
Yeah.
And that's quite a lesson there.
Yeah, in American More Chinese, I have him kind of go through this identity crisis about being a monkey. As a way of talking about, again, the immigrant's kids experience.
And I guess there must be so many reiterations, variations on
Oh, yeah. In Asia, in China and Japan, the Monkey King is so popular that he's almost like his own genre. There's so many different versions of Monkey King stories, of Monkey King comics, and Monkey King movies. It's pretty amazing.
So you just went with it however you felt was right for your
Well,
version.
I grew up with the Monkey King, and originally I had wanted to just do a straight adaptation. But then I found all of these amazing Asian artists, Asian cartoonists, Japanese and Chinese cartoonists had already done straight adaptations. I just didn't feel like I would be adding anything to the world by doing that. So, so I tried to use the Monkey King as a way of talking about the Asian American experience. That's what American More Chinese is.
And I just want to close with You're at First Second, which is a wonderful venue for the type of comics you do. The whole idea of taking comics as far as you can with the spirit of it being as if they're novels. And they are novels. They are an art form, etc., etc.
Yeah. First Second's been a great home for me.
Well, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.